Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, but reflects the same passion that I exhibit everywhere for teaching, mentoring, and helping others succeed through simple, impactful lessons. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. When you invest in your people, you are revealing what you believe about in their potential. And when clients spend on you, they are revealing what they think about your discipline. And in both cases, value is not a number. It is a story about consistency, accountability, and trust. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Everyone seems to talk endlessly about client value, customer experience, and competitive differentiation. But here's what most leaders miss. The customer experience is nothing more than an output of the employee experience. Let me say that again. The customer experience is nothing more than an output of the employee experience. You can't deliver what Kenneth Blanchard and Sheldon Balls called in their book Raving Fans clients without first creating raving fan employees. The best leaders in business have always understood this instinctively. And what is notable is that the best leaders didn't just say people matter, they proved it with their wallets. They proved it with their calendars. They proved it with the decisions they made on a daily basis. And this is a clear distinction worth noting and one that we will elaborate on in today's episode. Stephen Bartlett, who is the founder of multiple companies, including the Diary of a CEO podcast, which is, by the way, on my top 3 podcasts that I listen to weekly and highly recommend that you take a listen as well. He puts it plainly, I consider myself to be the head of recruitment. I'm just going to pause there for a moment. Isn't that interesting? The CEO of a very, very popular podcast and multiple companies doesn't say he's the CEO. He says that his function is the head of recruitment. And he goes on and he says, well, this isn't just executive rhetoric. It's a fundamental business philosophy rooted in a very simple truth. The furthest upstream thing in business is the group of people that you assemble. Bartlett dedicates 20 to 30 hours, he says, per week to recruiting, not reviewing resumes and not signing off on decisions, and actually recruiting. That's where he spends his time because he knows that everything downstream depends on getting this right. Steve Jobs once said that I noticed that the dynamic range between what an average person could accomplish and what the best person could accomplish was 50 or 100 to 1. Given that, you're well advised to go after the cream of the crop. A small team of A-plus players can run circles around a giant team of B and C players. It is said that Jobs interviewed over 5,000 candidates during his career. Think about that. The person who revolutionized personal computing, music, phones, animation, mobile devices spent thousands of hours sitting across from candidates. That's not a distraction from his real work. That was his real work. The infamous Jack Welch of GE said it even more directly. He said, hiring good people is hard. Hiring great people is brutally hard. And yet nothing matters more in winning than getting the right people on the field. Welch described that his main job was developing talent. He says, I was a gardener providing water and other nourishment to our top 750 people. Of course, I had to pull out some weeds too. Notice the language. Gardener. Nourishment. This wasn't HR speak. This was the CEO who grew GE's market value from $12 billion to $410 billion over the course of 2 decades. And he spent more time thinking about people than he did strategy. And I'll tell you that I learned this lesson the hard way in my career as well. I joined a firm where I had to build something from nothing and grow it within a very short time frame. And I needed to get operations, marketing, and sales up and running simultaneously and do it fast. What was in my immediate control was who I was going to hire, and hiring the right person to take some of this off of my plate and help me execute the strategy. And hiring in those early days wasn't just important, it was literally mission critical, because the wrong person, as we all know, would just set me back and I would ultimately fail. No question. But the right person would propel our clients to success. I interviewed people left and right. No one that I interviewed was extraordinary. I interviewed some pretty good people, but no one believed in what I believed in. And instinctively, I knew that no one I interviewed shared my core beliefs, could hustle, execute, or have the grit to perform exceptionally well. That was until I dug into my Rolodex and I called someone that I trusted. I said I needed someone who had those ingredients. And sure enough, I got a name. And within 30 seconds of speaking with this person, I knew that this was who our soon-to-be clients needed to build what I was building. My instinct proved 100% correct. That work ethic, that work product is worth more than a person's salary and bonus, because when it clicks, and you know that you have built something amazing and that no one can compete with that raving fan employee and client experience. And for years now, what we built with the right A+ players is a massive force to be reckoned with on every level. But it starts with the client experience in mind. Who are the right people who must absolutely be in place to execute against this strategy? You can't half commit to this. You either believe that this is the right person and that it changes everything, or you don't. Because if you don't, you're going to settle. And I'm telling you, if you settle, it's not just a compromise, it's an expensive choice. This underlines the importance of maintaining high standards in your hiring process. And here's where it gets practical. Let's talk about what this investment actually produces. The head of Southwest Airlines, Herb Keller, said, "We will hire someone with less experience, less education, and less expertise than someone who has more of those things and has a rotten attitude, because we can train people. We can teach people how to lead. We can teach people how to provide customer service, but we can't change their DNA." What's interesting is that Southwest hired roughly 2% of all the applicants that they interviewed. It wasn't unusual for a single applicant to be interviewed by over 100 people back then. That's not efficient by traditional standards. It's actually very expensive and it's very slow. And it's also why Southwest became a consistently profitable airline since 1973 that never laid off any workers, with consistently high customer approval ratings and the most solid financial stability in a boom-bust managed industry. The investment paid off. Every dollar spent on finding people with the right attitude is multiplied into customer loyalty that competitors couldn't touch. This long-term strategy of investing in people is a beacon of hope for the future. It promises sustained success, and it promises growth. Keller of Southwest understood the connection perfectly. Your employees come first. If you treat your employees right, guess what? He said, your customers come back, and that makes your shareholders happy. Richard Branson, he said something similar. If you look after your staff, they'll look after your customers. It's that simple. I want to get across a very good point here. This isn't feel-good philosophy. This is cause and effect. Netflix operates on the same principle, but executes it differently. The company pays employees personal top of market for the role and location and uses the keeper test, asking managers, if X wanted to leave, would I fight to keep them? If the answer is no, well, they part ways quickly. Netflix believes that to attract and retain top talent, it has to pay them more than anyone else, sometimes offering higher salaries than they might settle for, often before they even ask for more. Is that expensive? Yes. Does it work? Well, Netflix has 260 plus million subscribers paying monthly for content created by that talent. The investment in people became the content library, which became the subscriber base, which became the valuation. Mark Benioff at Salesforce says the secret to successful hiring is this: look for the people who want to change the world. Now, That's a very lofty statement. How does he back that up? What's the evidence? Well, Salesforce built its what they call Ohana culture around the Hawaiian concept of family, instilling values in employees which collaborate, take care of one another, have fun together, and work to leave the world a better place. Sheryl Sandberg, former CEO of Facebook, she reflected that she was going to hire the best and the brightest and people who were going to bring their passion and dedication and hard work. And actual experience in the field or related fields didn't matter. Why? She said that opens up a lot of hiring because then you can just look for skills. It's important to note that these aren't just isolated examples that I dug up from some of the best performing companies in the world. These are the people who built the companies that defined industries. These highly successful people all understood the same truth. Discipline in hiring and developing people creates discipline in execution, which creates value for customers, which creates sustainable success. Here's what I want you to think about. Look at your last 3 months of spending decisions. What story does that tell about your leadership? Because if you're spending more on software than on developing your team, then you're betting on tools over people. Okay? If you're filling roles quickly instead of correctly, you're prioritizing speed over quality. If you're paying market rates instead of top of the market rates, you're hoping to retain that talent rather than ensuring it. Because every dollar is a signal, and I promise you, your people are drawing conclusions about what you actually value on a daily basis. You can't buy that. You can't automate that. You can only invest in it, cultivate it, and protect it. And the companies that win in the long term are the ones that understand this. They don't treat hiring as an administrative function for just HR and recruitment. They don't treat development as a line item in a budget. They treat both as the foundation of literally everything else that they are trying to build. Because here's the thing. If you get the people right, the strategy works. If you get the people wrong, the strategy doesn't work. Discipline is what creates a long-term sustainable success. And discipline starts with really being honest about where you are actually investing your time and your money. So ask yourself, are you spending like someone who believes people are your greatest asset? Or are you just saying it on an all-hands call? Are you continually investing in your people through certifications and development? Or are you just placating them during another team call? Because guess what? Your budget has already answered that question. The only question left is whether you're willing to look at what it's saying. And remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It is about progress. Take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you next time.